State of Georgia has been pretty good to our friend Stacey Abrams. Not clear what Abrams does for a living, and yet somehow she has been able to afford 2 homes in the state of Georgia. But she's not grateful for it. Over the weekend, Abrams, who was apparently running for office again, despite being the real governor of Georgia, went out of her way to attack the state she hopes to lead. Watch.
I am tired of hearing about being the best state in the country to do business when we are the worst state in the country to live.
Well, there's a campaign tactic you don't see very often. I hate this place. Elect me. Robert Patillo is a radio talk show host in Atlanta. He's a statewide Democratic Party strategist and a regional director for the Rainbow Push Coalition. He joins us tonight. Robert, thanks so much for coming on. So you don't often hear people seeking to lead a state attack the state. What do you think that was about?
Well, I think it was a gaffe, it was a faux pas. This is what happens often when you have a campaign where most of your fundraisers are coming out of California, most of your talking points and political strategists are coming out of New York and D.C. And the same things that work in D.C. aren't going to work in Tacoma, Georgia. You have to get out there and actually talk to people in the grassroots. You have to talk to some of the political strategists and political consultants who are right here in the state. And you have people like D. Dawkins Hagler, who's running for Secretary of State, who's been to all 159 counties and talks to people on a daily basis. You have to dig down and make sure that you are reflecting the views of the people of your state, not simply people who are putting money into the campaign.
Well, that seems like a theme here. So if you look at the polling on what voters care about, surprise, surprise, it's not global warming, it's not Ukraine, it's inflation, gas prices, and the economy. Those are the top 3. So if your campaign is really run out of the west side of Los Angeles, how can you be in touch with those issues, I wonder?
Well, I think a big part of it is going to have to be going on a listening tour around the state, making sure you're talking to people in small diners and local communities. You know, I'm from down in Harris County, Georgia, so we view things a little bit differently. We see people from Atlanta as being outsiders, let alone people from outside the state or outside the region. So I think you have to start working with some of those regional people like Keith McCants in Middle Georgia, Scout Smith, who's a great political consultant there in the state, John Jackson, who's a veteran, who can connect you to those communities. When you start actually listening to the voters instead of listening to the consultants, that's when you're able to win a race. And particularly when you have a fractured Republican Party like we have in the state of Georgia right now, where you have David Perdue attacking Brian Kemp for not being Republican enough, I think that you have an opportunity to really build that grassroots support while they're having a civil war on the other side.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like you couldn't run a party worse than the state of Georgia has run its Republican Party. So, Robert, I appreciate your thoughts on that. Thank you very much.
Thanks, anytime.
Subscribe to the Fox News YouTube channel to catch our nightly opens, stories that are changing the world and changing your life. From Tucker Carlson Tonight.